Hi, this is Luca from lucalampariello.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about real versus fake polyglots. Recently, I made a video about criticism of language learning, about the fact that a lot of people, content creators or normal YouTubers or people who expose themselves as speaking, showcases their language skills, get a lot of flack or criticism or negative criticisms, and address the problem of how to fundamentally face it. But the interesting fact about that video is that quite a few comments pointed to the fact that a lot of hatred or a lot of misunderstandings come from the fact that there are some so-called pseudo-polyglots who demand that they speak many more languages than they actually can, or they just demand that they speak the languages when in fact they mutter a couple of sentences and they have a very superficial smattering of the languages that they claim to speak. Before we delve into the fake versus real polyglot controversy, let me address the problem of what it constitutes, what it means to be a polyglot. Now, the word polyglot, the word the concept of speaking a language or a fluency are kind of vague and up to discussion. I already talked about it in numerous videos. If you want to check the last video I made about fluency, please check and click on the link in the description box. But in general, I would say that we need a point of reference. And again, this is my humble opinion, and this is what I think constitutes a polyglot. To me, a polyglot, meaning from the Greek word polyglosses, glosses, many languages. For me, a polyglot is a person who speaks at least 3 foreign languages other than their own. And when it comes to speaking, I mean speaking fluently. And again, for me, fluency means at least a B2 level, being able to understand, being able to function in a society, understand what is being said to them, as well as getting their point across in a smooth way, albeit with mistakes. So with that point of reference, how do you judge a polyglot? Well, even if we have this point of reference, it's kind of difficult to judge, to really being able to gauge a polyglot skill unless you're a polyglot, unless you speak those languages. And it's difficult in general because we have, for example, the CEFR framework of reference, European framework of reference for language acquisition and skills that detail the various skills that you have to have in order to pass certain exams, ranging from A1 to C2, so you have 6 levels. But in my experience, even then, when you pass an exam, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have that level. You can prepare specifically for that exam and pass it. And sometimes native speakers would have a hard time passing that exam because of the form of the exam itself. So these exams are a little bit indicative of one's skills, but they're not the ultimate proof. I myself have 4 C2 certificates, but again, this doesn't mean much. I prepared for the exams and I passed these exams. I think the real life circumstances and experience are much more valuable. And with that in mind, I would say in general that it's kind of difficult to judge whether a polyglot is a real polyglot or not. But even then, I think the point is moot. I think the point is not that important whether you can tell if a person is a real polyglot or not, because people have different skill sets, motives, reasons, purposes in life. I remember I once talked in Berlin to Anthony Metivier, who is a memory guru, and I asked him point blank, what's the point of memorizing an entire deck of cards, of memorizing things the way you do? And he said, why not? Like, what about people wanting to climb Mount Everest? They have a purpose that you might not understand, but it's a purpose that they have. So in the realm of the online polyglots who run around, walk in malls or do pranks, surprise people, you have all sorts of people out there who like engaging in all sorts of different things. The real point that you have to ask yourself, the real question is, what do I get out of this? So you have possibly 2 paths that you can follow. Either you can follow the path of misunderstanding, hate, and squandering a lot of your time and energy into trying to understand without understanding and trying to criticize and blame, and negativity brings more negativity. Or you can follow the path of trying to understand and trying to get something positive out of it. Now, Recently, I've been reading this book, the Daily Stoic, 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday. And I wanted to read a passage to you. So every day, this book is really interesting because every day there is a lesson to learn. And this is June 24th. And let me read this passage to you. Socrates famously traveled around Athens, approaching the people he disagreed with most, and engaging them in long discussions. In these discussions, or what record we have of them, there are many examples of his conversation mates getting exasperated, upset, or aggravated by his many questions. Indeed, the people of Athens eventually got so upset that he sentenced Socrates to death. But Socrates never seemed to get upset himself. Even when talking about matters of life and death, he always kept his cool. He was much more interested in hearing what the other person had to say than making sure he was heard of, as most of us insist upon winning the argument. The next time you face a political dispute or a personal disagreement, ask yourself, is there any reason to fight about this? Is arguing going to help solve anything? Would an educated or wise person really be as quarrelsome as you might initially be inclined to be? Or would they take a breath, relax, and resist the temptation for conflict? Just think of what you could accomplish and how much better you would feel if you could conquer the need to fight and win every tiny little thing. So the point for me is that whenever I personally watch videos. That happened at the beginning. That has been happening over the last 10 years because, the internet has changed, YouTube has changed. A lot of people have been doing a lot of different things in the realm of language learning. At first, I did not understand. That was far from my philosophy. My philosophy is, for example, when it comes to acquiring a lot of languages, is to speak languages extremely well and get to the point where I can use the language and benefit from the language, enjoy the language in every situation. But I do understand and have realized now that there are other people who have different motives, a different stand, a different philosophy, different life circumstances. And it's not up to me to judge. What I can do is when I watch certain videos is what can I get? And you can do that too. What can I get? What positive aspects can I get from these videos? Maybe a person who runs and does pranks or talks to people on the street. Well, it's not my style, but I do recognize that that's a very cool form of entertainment that I could do myself. So that I always take notes and try to get inspired by that and say, okay, this guy does something that I haven't done yet or that I have a hard time doing. What can I learn? Or people approaching people in general on the street, asking questions and learning and interacting and getting in the realm of I'd say out of their comfort zone in a way. I haven't done that. I would not do that, but I do recognize that there's some value of that. Or some people who want to learn an enormous amount of languages, maybe just barely scratching the surface and learning a smattering of each language, but that's totally fine. So I think it's up to you to decide what you can make out of this. You can blame, criticize, and misunderstand and waste a lot of time. And remember, nothing's going to change because you might think, oh, I'm going to expose that guy. But think about the time you've spent and the energy you've spent and think about the consequences. Has anything changed so far? I don't think that blaming and criticizing can actually change things. Or you can just ask yourself, what is it that I admire of this person? Try to find something because I think at the end of the day, everybody has something to offer. And that's at the core of this video. So just to recap, I want to say that in general, there are people on YouTube who showcase their language skills, and most often than not, they have a superficial smattering of a lot of languages. But in order to judge a polyglot, you need to be a multilingual person. You need to spend a lot of time with these people, which is not realistic and not possible. And even if they claimed that they have CFR exams, it's still just a partial acknowledgement of their skills. But the real point is Does it really matter? If you find yourself wanting to criticize or blame or getting upset about something that you cannot change, think again and focus on the positive aspect that you can get from watching these videos. And I think the positive aspect is that every single one of these polyglots has something to offer. They have different motives, different skill sets, and different life circumstances. But it's at the end of the day up to you to decide what you can make out of it, because every individual is different. And altogether, if you can take the good things from every single polyglot, even the ones you dislike, even the ones whose style and motives and philosophy you dislike, you can make a lot of progress. So thanks for watching. I hope you like this vlog style. That's the second one, and hopefully there will be other ones upon a request. Have a fantastic day. Don't forget to, if you're new to this channel, to subscribe, hit on the notification button for more videos. And once again, and as always, thanks for watching.